Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Happy Monday, everybody, and let's get right to the weather forecast here. You can see the current weather alerts here across portions of the southwestern United States here into the desert southwest, across Colorado, portions of New Mexico, Arizona, maybe even southern Nevada, and then getting into portions of west central Texas, the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and into portions of southwestern Kansas. We do have red flag warnings across those areas, along with high wind warnings, wind advisories here. This is due to some fire weather concerns here, and you've got those gusty winds here moving in. So do here be mindful if you are, grilling, if you are, having campfires out there or any type of recreational fire here. Do be very mindful of that here as we have those strong winds coming out of the south and west, and we do have that very dry soil here with those severe, extreme, and exceptional drought areas continuing, especially across the New Mexico area into West Texas and back into Arizona and into portions there of Nevada as well. Also some red flag warnings across northern portions of Michigan as well, toward the UP of Michigan here, up toward that location. We could see here, some drier conditions up there with some windy conditions mixed in for some drier soil. So do be mindful of that here as we head into today. So now my video kind of today is going to be more focused on the severe weather aspects here through the week, and also here taking you through that heat wave that is going to be here occurring through the week as well. So we'll kind of dive into all the details here right now. So looking at the day one categorical outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center, they have upgraded the parts of this area across western and northwestern Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, and far northeast Iowa here to an enhanced level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather for later today into tonight here. And then we do have a slight risk of level 2 of 5 here surrounding that into west central Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota, and then kind of tailing its way down here into northeast Iowa, and then that level 1 of 5, that marginal risk here, heading up toward the UP of Michigan, down through central Wisconsin, maybe far northwest Illinois, and then getting back here into central Iowa, maybe far northern portions of Missouri as we head into later today as well. So let's kind of look at the kind of hazard type of weather here we could have with some of the severe weather today. They have upgraded here the tornado probabilities in that enhanced risk zone to a 10% tornado probability across western and northwestern Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, far northeast Iowa. This does include near the La Crosse area, getting back into the Minneapolis-St. Paul vicinity as well. So we'll have to be here kind of mindful of that. And then this will kind of move down here into portions of northeast Iowa as well. And then the wind risk here kind of going along with, a 15% general wind risk across these areas in the slight risk zone. And then you got that 5% wind risk here in that marginal risk zone. And then they have included that 5 and 15% hail risk as well, along with a hatched hail risk, which means hail of 2 inches in diameter or larger, of golf ball size or larger, could be possible here, or even likely as we head into later this afternoon and tonight across portions of west central and northwest Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota into northeastern Iowa. This does include La Crosse, Wisconsin, getting up toward Minneapolis, St. Paul, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Those type of areas definitely have to be on the lookout for some large hailstones here with these storms as we head into later today. Now let's kind of look at the general setup of why we're here seeing all this severe weather today. We do have a lot of dew points streaming up here into a narrow corridor into central portions of Minnesota. We do have some, dew points in the low to mid 60s across these areas, maybe some upper 60s to near 70-degree dew points getting up toward the Minneapolis-St. Paul area here as depicted on the HRRR model. And this is going to kind of feed into that instability. We'll have instability or CAPE, convective available potential energy, kind of in a narrow plume moving up into east central portions there of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, and northeast Iowa in those threat zones here of level 2 of 5 and level 3 of 5, that slight and enhanced risk zone for severe weather as we head into our afternoon and evening tonight. We do have instability values kind of rising up to around 3,000 plus joules per kilogram, so that is more than enough, almost double or triple here what you need for severe weather. And we also do have the winds here, kind of the kinematics, if you will, here with these storm systems as well. We do have, the winds coming in the lower levels out of the south. We got the strong gusty winds out of the south and southwest, and then you go up a little bit more in height. You're into the mid-levels of the atmosphere, the upper levels, and you have winds coming more out of the west here with the westerlies and the jet stream. And this will kind of overlap mostly in portions here, like I said, in that enhanced risk zone across eastern Minnesota, northwest Wisconsin, and trailing down into southeastern Iowa. The stronger kinematics will be staying up in those enhanced risk areas into Minnesota and Wisconsin as we head into tonight. And we are seeing some significant tornado parameter here showing up, some pretty decent values higher up on the scale here, 4s, 5s appearing in portions here of east central Minnesota, tailing its way back towards central Minnesota, maybe far northwest Wisconsin. This does include near the La Crosse area, and then getting up especially into St. Paul, Minnesota, the Minneapolis region. So do want to be mindful of that as we head into later today as well. I did take a sounding of near the St. Paul, Minnesota area here. This is like a forecast sounding to see what the upper levels and the mid levels of the atmosphere, all the different levels of the atmosphere are kind of working today. We do have winds out of the south-southeast at the surface, but you go up a few thousand feet here into the low levels, you can see winds are kind of coming in out of the south and west, still some pretty strong. So we got a lot of strong wind shear here, a speed shear in the atmosphere, and then you go up a few thousand more feet in the mid levels and upper levels, and you have winds coming in out of the west southwest here. So a little bit of turning of the winds in the atmosphere, and there's no surprise that we do have a possible hazard tag. We're looking at those significant tornado parameter values up to PDS tornado here tag across these areas into the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. A decent looking hodograph. These storms may shoot up to around 40, maybe 45 or so thousand feet here this afternoon, and here's some pretty decent curved and elongated hodographs will support that tornado risk as we head into later today, so we'll have to be mindful of that. Let's kind of look at this here on the composite reflectivity, how things may pan out later today. This is kind of a simulation of what the radar could look like. Do not take this verbatim because this is not exactly like the storm here into central Minnesota is not going to look exactly like this here later today, but it will give you kind of a general idea of what here the radar could look like here in the future going into late this afternoon and into the evening. So kind of looking at this later this afternoon around 3-4 o'clock, get to see some thunderstorms starting to fire up as we head into portions of east central Minnesota. More storms will start to initiate and push over into portions of northwestern Wisconsin. Maybe a couple storms getting together down into central Iowa, but that cap here, we do have a cap in the atmosphere, which is kind of inhibiting storms from developing and getting very strong. And, you know, those tall updrafts that you need for these very strong and severe weather, just not going to be there here late this afternoon across Iowa, but we do have the stronger dynamics up into northwest Wisconsin. So some big hail potential there, the tornado potential, especially on the southern extent of this little line segment here. We got to watch some of these storms that could rotate, kind of develop those notches, those hook echoes. So we'll have to watch that. And then also that wind risk here as well. Winds could be in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour with the storms. And then once that cap starts to breach across portions here of central and eastern Iowa, starts to break a little bit, we may have some storm initiation across that area here as we head to early this evening. And we got to watch those for some tornado development as well. I think the more intense supercell activity embedded with this line will be up into Wisconsin, far northeast Iowa, southeastern Minnesota. And then these storms will kind of propagate to the east-southeast as we head into the mid to late evening hours into early Tuesday morning before kind of falling apart before they really get into northern Illinois or portions, of northern Michigan due to that cap. There will be a cap on the atmosphere in the mixed layer here, so as these storms move in and propagate from the northwest to the southeast, they'll be running into a cap in the mixed layer and probably even at the surface as well, so that'll kind of eat away at these, updrafts of the storm, and they'll weaken very strongly as they push into this type of environment later today. And it doesn't stop there. We do have another, a couple of risk areas as we head into, our Tuesday. The Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 categorical outlook shows a slight risk zone across east central Wisconsin, including Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin, Green Bay, and getting back over there toward the Wisconsin Dells area here as we head into our Tuesday. Also, another slight risk zone here across west central Texas and into southwest Texas here as we head into our Tuesday. This does include the Lubbock area, Midland, Texas, kind of up toward the Wichita Falls area, and then getting down toward the Fort Stockton area as well. We do even have a marginal risk kind of extending into southwestern Oklahoma as well. And again, still that marginal risk into maybe northern Illinois. I do expect maybe the northern extent of this kind of outlook to be expanding, the slight risk zone to be expanding maybe a little farther to the south. Some of the model here guidance is starting to trend a little farther south with a convective kind of line or complex of storms. So we'll have to watch and wait and see how that works out here with the new update as we head into later today. Either way here, this is kind of what we're looking at with the hazards. We got 2% tornado risk areas across southwestern portions there of Texas toward the Fort Stockton area. And then again here up toward the Green Bay, Wisconsin Dells, Milwaukee, and Madison, Wisconsin type of vicinity as we head into our Tuesday. And then these, the general wind and hail risk will kind of go along with these kind of outlooked areas across, the upper Midwest and the portions of the southern plains. Although into Texas toward the Fort Stockton area, Could have some more feisty type of updrafts here with, some 2-inch or larger, golf ball size or larger type hailstones as we head into that vicinity as well. So let's look at the setup here tomorrow. We got a lot more moisture to work with, especially with northward extent as we head toward the upper Midwest. We got dew points here up into Wisconsin rising into the 60s, low 70s, but just south of there into Illinois, much of southern Iowa, much of Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, dew points will be, sweating it out into the low to mid 70s. So some very high dew points, very high moisture content for this time of year. And even into southwestern and west central Texas, some dew points in the low to mid 60s, some lower 70s possible there as well. And that'll feed into the instability, some very extreme instability values expected across Texas here as we head into late on Tuesday on our day tomorrow. Instability could be approaching 5,000 plus joules per kilogram across those areas, so explosive updrafts are expected with the storm initiation as we head into Tuesday afternoon. But even up into the other outlook area here, up into Wisconsin, east central Wisconsin here, we do have instability approaching 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is more than enough for severe weather. But here, another caveat to the Texas type of setup, we do have a little bit of wind shear down in these areas, but the stronger kind of, mid and upper level winds will be kind of displaced well off to your north here into the, the upper Mississippi Valley and into the upper Midwest type of region here up toward Wisconsin as we head into Tuesday afternoon. So these storms will be slower moving into Texas due to the kind of slower and kind of weaker wind shear across these areas, but still they could be pretty strong, so we'll have to watch that. The supercell composite values kind of showing up across eastern Iowa getting into Wisconsin, so that's why I do think here, at least on the NAM 3KM model, is kind of hinting at this maybe shifting a little farther to the south or expanding the slight risk zone a little farther south and west. So we'll have to see here in the later outlooks if that here does occur, because these values are showing up across portions of eastern Iowa into northern Illinois, and then some values down into west central and southwest Texas as well. And we do have the significant tornado parameter, a few values here getting up into portions of the, the upper Midwest and then down into Texas here. Not looking like a super big tornado day, but here you cannot rule out an isolated tornado or two. So let's kind of look at what the radar could look like with the composite reflectivity as we head into our Tuesday. We got some storms firing up late afternoon, and these will really start to pop up here and explode as we head into early Tuesday evening into portions of the Panhandle of Texas, getting out into West Texas, maybe even western Oklahoma into the Oklahoma Panhandle. Got to watch those storms. A couple of supercells embedded within that, some large hail to even very large hail of 2 inches or larger in diameter, and then you got to watch out for that tornado and have wind risk as well. Same up here with Wisconsin here. Got to watch these storms clustering up here into Wisconsin in the early evening hours. Then as they propagate to the south-southeast, we could see these fall apart as we head into the upper Midwest around the northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin area with that cap again in place. And same thing down here into Texas here. We do have a strong cap down into Texas. We got a strong cap up here into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. So these will kind of eat away at those storms as they propagate to the south and east as we head into our Wednesday morning. And then we have a day 3 categorical outlook. This is going into our Wednesday now, and we have the Storm Prediction Center has upgraded to a slight risk across central and western portions of Minnesota, getting into the eastern Dakotas there, and then, that marginal risk zone across those warm frontal areas, the warm front boundary here across the, northern plains, and then that dry line extending down into the western Great Plains from Nebraska, western Kansas, getting down into the western Texas, into the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, and portions there of far eastern New Mexico as well. And how that will kind of unfold as we head into, beyond there. We do have a lot of, moisture streaming up. Like I said, widespread low to mid 70 dew points streaming up here for our Wednesday. So that will contribute here near the warm front to that slight risk zone. Maybe an expansion of that slight risk zone along the dry line. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. So decent here, dew points into the 60s here across those areas, and a lot of buoyancy here for the upward lift with those air parcels. But you can see the stronger dynamics with the jet stream kind of going to be displaced off to the north, but some here dynamics showing up near that dry line here, kind of the convergence between the dry air and behind the dry line, and then that moist air and warm air here ahead of the dry line. So we'll have to wait and see how that works on Wednesday. And then as we head into Thursday, now this risk on Thursday is looking more and more interesting here by the day. The Storm Prediction Center last night, I was looking at this, and they did upgrade to a 30% or enhanced risk zone on their day 4 4 outlook. This is 4 days out, and already here putting a level 3 of 5 enhanced risk out for west central and northwestern Minnesota into the eastern Dakotas here, and this is kind of going to extend down with a slight risk down into portions of northeastern portions there of Nebraska, northwestern Iowa as well, into the central Dakota. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out on Thursday. Those dew points will go all the way up here into southern portions of Manitoba, southern portions there of Ontario, and all the way up here into the northern plains, into the upper Midwestern regions with low to mid 70 dew points here, kind of moving up northward here with that frontal boundary as we head into that time frame as well. You got to watch this dry line as well down into portions there of Nebraska, but the stronger dynamics by far will be across portions here of the Dakotas into Minnesota, where we have that instability, all that moisture, lift, and you have all of that wind shear across these areas here. We have wind shear values here in excess of 50 knots here with that all that instability growing on our Thursday. So we'll definitely have to watch that setup here. I do expect maybe another upgrade here in the later updates, maybe to a moderate risk. We'll have to see how that works out. Some of the soundings I've been looking at are pretty impressive with the hodographs, so we'll have to see how that works out here coming up later this week. But nonetheless, let's look at the 6 to 10 day temperature probability here. The Climate Prediction Center has put out Wednesday, May 18th. This goes all the way through Wednesday, May 18th. You got that trough kind of ejecting from the west coast all the way up here into the northern plains. You got another ridge becoming more established across the desert southwest here into California, Nevada, and Arizona. You got that ridge continuing to push east here across the northeast and the east coast, getting down through the southeast here all the way through the middle of the month. And then that will contribute to some drier than normal conditions expected across the western half of the country, especially the Four Corners region into the Intermountain West, where that here, that ridge will continue with that cold frontal boundary extending from upper level system into southern and southeastern Canada with some above normal precipitation slightly favored across the Ohio Valley into the northeast and southeastern United States during that time. And then with that trough continuing to kind of dig down around the Great Lakes and mid-Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley region, some slightly cooler than average temperatures, 60s, some 50s for highs potentially as we head toward the third week in May, all the way through Sunday, May 22nd. But then another ridge will start to amplify as we head into the western half of the country from Texas all the way back through the Four Corners, Intermountain West here as well, and into the southeast here as another ridge will start to build toward the end of the month of May. And that will also favor drier than normal conditions here from, like I said, southern and central plains westward here into the Intermountain West, the Four Corners, with slightly favored precipitation above average across the northeast during that time, with generally normal precipitation for the Carolinas back toward Georgia and Florida as we head toward the third week in May. And then I did tell you about that heat wave. We got a lot of warm temperatures moving up. We got here to the north, we got here temperatures in the well into the 90s, some low hundreds across the Texas area here as we head into our afternoon today. Tomorrow, this will continue to push up to the north, maybe some low hundreds still showing up here across the panhandle of Texas, western portions of Oklahoma as well as we head into our Tuesday. And this will expand and amplify all the way up into portions there of, southern Minnesota, some low to mid 80s expected up there on our Wednesday. And this will really expand as we head into Thursday. That's why we have that here risk area as high as it is across portions of the Dakotas and Minnesota, where we'll have, temperatures up into the 70s and 80s, maybe even some lower 90s showing up near the Minneapolis-St. Paul area and toward La Crosse, Wisconsin. Widespread low to mid-90s across much of the upper Midwest, the Central Plains, and getting down to the Southern Plains and the Missouri Valley as well. Even over here toward the, the Mississippi Delta area, down toward Jackson, Mississippi, some mid-90s showing up, maybe some low 100s again as we head into Texas during that time frame. And then that ridge will start to break down a little bit here on the northwestern and western fringes here as we head toward late this week on Friday and Saturday as the upper level system kind of pushes in with all the precipitation here. But looking at the next 7 days in general, going all the way through Monday, May 16th here in the morning, we can expect a lot more rainfall across especially North Dakota, getting over toward Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then kind of trailing off here into portions of southern Canada. The Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan areas can expect some pretty decent rainfall as we head into, the next week or so. And then here's some rainfall tailing down into portions here of the mid-Mississippi and Missouri valleys as well. And then maybe some precipitation back into portions of the panhandle of Texas, where they do need it desperately here for the drought conditions that are ongoing. And then unfortunately, the news continues that no rainfall is expected across the Four Corners from Colorado down through portions of New Mexico, Arizona, southern Utah, central and southern California, southern Nevada anytime soon. So that is unfortunate. But we are holding on to hope here, so we'll continue to kind of hopefully that monsoon season does start up for them here rather soon across those areas to kind of alleviate some of the drought heading into the summer months across those areas. So I do thank you for watching my video. I hope everybody's having a great Monday out there. Be sure to like my video with a thumbs up and leave any comments and questions below here in the chat. I will be able to answer those all day and night. And remember to subscribe to my channel here to catch the latest forecast updates through the spring and summer months regarding all these storm systems, heat waves, etc. So I'll keep you covered on that. So thank you for watching and have a great Monday, everybody.